I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away.
When you first got called out to come out and do the auditions and they told you what the concept was, what was your idea of I get to play some person in a small town, and I also get to play some storybook character, although except for you, who you basically get to play one person, which is kind of much easier for you to keep track of your storyline. But
yeah, it's super easy.
yeah, during the audition period, what were you guys thinking of the concept and whether or not you could get behind it?
This question isn't for me, so I can't answer it.
Some of the, I don't know.
Juggling dual roles is the topic. Yeah. Is it a little tricky there?
How do you guys like playing two different characters?
Well, I think it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and it's rare that you get to do that, particularly in television. And you know, the guys wrote a script, the pilot script that came around. There was just nothing like it that I read that pilot season or any other pilot season, and it was just such a gift to think that you could come in and be able to play two different characters who are essentially, I mean, for me, for Charmian and David, they're essentially the same person, but they just have different experiences which make them different, and that's a joy, and I love playing both of them for that reason, for the reasons that they are different.
And Jennifer, it's probably the same for you because, you know, as we said, Snow is kind of hardcore and Mary's, you know, much more reserved.
Yeah, Mary is the version of what could have gone wrong had Snow White been repressed her entire life. You know, Mary is the one who puts obstacles in her own way, whereas I feel that Snow takes responsibility for everything, and so her obstacles are all external, and it's a wonderful challenge. I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity like this again.
Okay, let's take another audience question. You? Or Nick, whoever you've got there, right there.
Is this based on more of the Disney content or the comic book fables?
I mean, well, it's definitely. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think it's based on this. As we said, this is an idea we've had for a long time, and it's based on our sort of own take on these stories and how you know, we've decided not to retell any of them, but kind of try to tell them in a new way that is kind of very specific to our own points of view.
Right down here in the front row, our gal sweater.
To touch on that, you guys do such an amazing job of taking the classic story and making it new, and interacting with the stories that are going on in the show and bringing characters from different stories. Can you talk a little bit about the way you bring that together?
Well, for us, we were never interested in just retelling them. You know, we wanted to, you know, why is Grumpy grumpy? Why does the evil queen hate Snow White so much? We consciously decided to open the pilot post the happy ending so that we immediately let the audience know that we're actually taking place after the story that you know. Yeah, we wanted to, when we first started talking about writing the script, the idea of taking one of what we saw as one of the most iconic endings in all of fairy tales, Snow White and Prince Charming, and then starting with that and then going right past it to kind of send the message. This show is not going to be about the stories you've seen, it's going to be about where they could go. And then what we've had a ton of fun doing is finding the ways to mash them all up together, to take characters like, you know, as you saw, Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White have a relationship that we had never seen before and we thought was a lot of fun to explore and things like that.
Another question? Down here in the front row? Her? The bracelet? Her. Okay, that works. Whatever. Right there.
I was asking more kind of a clarification with the way that the time started once Emma arrived. Did that mean that pretty much no one was aging, no one was growing? And if that was the case, what about Henry? When did Regina actually adopt him if Emma gave him up as a baby and now he's 10 years old?
No one was aging or growing at all in the time for the 28 years of the curse, except for Henry, who was adopted as a baby and grew up in kind of this curse hate
curse-hazed place.
And what happened is when he got the book, is when he started to notice that the children that he's been with are the same, and everyone stays the same, and it kind of woke him up in a way. Whereas, you know, when you're 4, everyone looks the same age. When you're 5, they look the same age. But now that he's older and he got this book, he's like, wait a minute. I need to steal a credit card, track down my real mom, and have her come back and break the curse. Which I think is a thought we've all had at one time in our life.